universe, translated, means one verse, or I say one song. Let's look in the universe for clues that unlock the mysteries of rhythm and music. The planets are rhythmic as they make revolutions around the sun and, of course, the moon around our Earth. I am most interested in the song of the moon's revolution around the Earth as it pertains to escalation of pitch, mental illness, and promiscuity. When scientists calculated the amount of time it takes a planet to make a revolution and stepped it up between 29 and 40 octaves, they found that the pitches of each of the planets and our moon all fit into one octave and even resonate to the Western scale, just like the overtone series. As stated earlier, many orchestras today are tuning higher than the so-called traditional 448 pitch. And recordings are faster and faster. We've talked about that. Some say this is necessary to be more spectacular, to sell more CDs. And any of you who are actively performing, you know well, we rarely perform on stage the quicker tempo that we might hear in a modern CD of the same composition. It just doesn't feel true to the composer. The audience rarely has a chance to truly feel the music and perform that quickly. Sometimes it's so fast we absorb it just through our ears and our thoughts. And there's not enough time for the music to resonate deeply in our hearts. Music therapy works when the right tempos are used. I looked deeper into the subject, and with it came even more questions and finally a revelation. Since ancient times, the moon is associated with passion, intensity, and emotional events, like the Passover of the Jews, the Holy Festival in India, and even Easter was scheduled by the moon up until 325 AD. Ask any midwife, and they will tell you and confirm that more babies are born in the full moon than any other time of the lunar month. The moon's revolution around our planet causes the waters of the ocean to move, as well as in our bodies. Since Pythagoras and Plato, several modern scientists and engineers of the modern age, such as Johannes Kepler, Hans Kaiser, Thomas Michael Schmidt, and most recently, my personal favorite, Hartmut Warm, W-A-R-M, have been working out theories, musical scales, and calculations of the planets. I especially resonate with the discovery whereas the orbit of the moon around our Earth oscillates at the pitch of G sharp. No. Bingo. That was what really put it all together for me. This is the same pitch orchestras tuned to in the Baroque, classical, and Romantic eras. And I wonder at the magnitude of this fact. Why did the composers of music eternal, blissful, spiritual, emotionally complete tune to G sharp rather than the modern day A and higher? My answer is right here, and we pulled it out of the sky. The moon's rhythms effect on water is evident in the tidal waves, certainly. Humans are born, and before they actually come out, they exist of 90% water. And by the time we are adults, we are about 70% water. When we die of old age, at that point, we are still quite a bit of water, about 50%. We exist mostly physically as water. Would you like to see for yourselves what effect words, sounds, and music has on water? Dr. Masaru Emoto, maybe some of you have heard of him, conducted such experiments and published his findings in a New York Times bestseller entitled The Hidden Messages in Water. And I will show you some images in a few moments. He photographed water crystals. Dr. Emoto put the water in a petri dish, froze it at -4 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 hours, pulled the petri dish out, and what happens is the surface tension forms drops of ice, and the petri dish is about 1 millimeter across, and the crystal appears when you shine a light on the crown of that drop of ice. Then he photographed each one before and after the water was subjected to different music, images, and words. I'd like to share a PowerPoint presentation that gives you some visuals of these ideas. And before I move on to this, I would like to say that there are many theories and opinions between the various systems, and nobody really knows for sure. The important thing to know is three things. Number one, music is a hologram of the universe. Number two, the music of the spheres is real, and we are being played. And number three, the performer's inner harmony is the music. And lastly, this is my music teaching philosophy and how I translate these ideas to my students, and I will recite it to you. May the music I make always come from my heart, and may it touch the hearts and lift the spirits of those who hear it. May each sound, each note resound with a joyful noise, each phrase ascend as a symphony of praise. May my character be as clean and clear as a shining looking glass, so as the light may shine through me to others. May each melody blend in perfect harmony. So we're going to move to the power presentation. I'm going to grab the lights. This first symbol that you see, obviously from Egypt. Can we cut all the lights? Okay, I went to Egypt a few times and did some experiments in the temples with different frequencies. This symbol on the right here, this one is the Ankh, symbol for light, and I'm sure a lot of people know that already. And this symbol here is called an Awas, A-W-A-S. And it has like a tuning fork kind of image on the bottom. And this is it's like a bird with an eye, and see the mouth. And look at the size of those ears. Okay, this is very important, this piece of listening. And I went to many, many, many temples and looked for this symbol here. And there are many variations. Some of them you just see a straight line, and that's it. This is the symbol for sound, the Awas, and it almost always is in conjunction with the Ankh symbol. And it actually appears more often than the Ankh. So it's the symbol for sound. So it's not really about always just making the sound, but also listening, the importance of listening to music, not just making the music. Yeah, here's the Japanese Dr. Mono, the hidden messages in water. Now, on the right, when you said you're beautiful just a few times, the crystals start forming. They become more defined when you're saying you're beautiful many times, and when the water was ignored and nothing was said, no crystals formed whatsoever. Now here is the result of loud music full of angry and vulgar lyrics. I don't see any crystals there. In fact, it even looks a little like metal. Bud Powell's Cleopatra Dream. Modern jazz from the 1950s created this beautiful crystal, indicative of the healing qualities of this music, which was composed during a time of great turmoil. Okay, here are the waveforms of the harmonic series, fundamental and overtones, the first through the eighth. Isn't that gorgeous? These are the waveforms of the nonlinear harmonic series. You can see like the one tone here, and then here you see it divided in half, and all these different fractions, and how this whole thing breaks down. I'm going to show you more images, and one of these is going to make more sense than the other, so I'm giving you a variety of different images to look at for the harmonic series. That's the overtone series. Okay. This is the fundamental C is here. That's a lower note. And then here's the half, the octave. 1/2 is the half. And then the third, and the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh, and the eighth. I love these images. Now here, I just played them. The fundamental, number one, the C is next, then the G, another C, a E, and then a G, and it keeps going up. Here you can see it written down here. After that G, where is it? There. The next one is B flat. We're writing on a piece of paper earlier. Then another C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B flat. And then as you're going up further here, these pitches become less than the semitones. They become almost like you can't hear them. But here we see the octave, the fifth, and the fourth. And I reference back to when we were talking about the East Indian music, which is filled with lots of perfect fourths and perfect fifths. Here it is on the piano again. So here's your fundamental C. Then you're going up here, and then see how it divides into 3, and then 4, and then 5, 6, and so forth. And here are the frequencies. And your 440A is right here. Your 415 is your G sharp or A flat. By the way, the human hearing range goes up about 15 notes above the highest note on the piano and about 10 or 15 notes below the lowest note in the piano. So piano is a real special instrument because it has the widest range. I mean, some people might be able to hear more. I know dogs can hear higher than a piano or a human hearing range. And then here's some math ratios. The octaves, the 1 to 2, the 2 to 3, the 3 to 4, 3 to 5, 4 to 5, and so forth. They're all whole numbers. They're all part of the harmonic series. Here are the ones that show up in the minor scale. The primary note, another overtone image. What's kind of cool if you play the violin and you play, like, say you have a G that's a open string G, and then you play a finger note on another string, and you don't touch the open G. You play it, and if you play it perfectly in tune, that G string will vibrate. You can see it, and that's how string players play in tune because they feel and they hear the overtones. Another one, I think you're all getting the idea. I think this is the last one. The overtones of the note C, divided in half, you hear the the tritone, devil's interval. Okay, so that's like, see, if we divide the scale in half exactly, we end up with the C and the F sharp. Sounds awful. And if we ever hear it, it always has to resolve into the next chord. So, when we talk about the feet, we're talking about proportions. And beauty is not made out of squares and dividing things exactly in half. It has to be something a little irregular, and we'll see a little more about this, but we can see already that the octave divided exactly in half does not produce anything harmonic or consonant. So phi is the 1.618 golden section. It's also called the golden mean proportion or the golden racial divine proportion. It's been referred to. The series, notice that the proportion is not exactly in half. So that's the mathematical formula. If anybody has a background in math and wants to look at that. And then we see that in our scale, our major and minor scale. And the human body, since notice the navel is not exactly in the middle of the body, it's slightly above the middle. The same with the length of the leg and the point where the knee joint is. This is not exactly the halfway point. There are proportions that are harmonically correct and pleasant to both the ear and the eye. If humans were designed against the phi, golden mean proportion, and divided exactly in half, imagine how grotesque it would be. I prefer not to share that devil's interval image. We see the phi also The Greeks recognized that he is dividing a line in the extreme and mean ratio and used it for beauty and balance in the design of architecture as early as the Parthenon. And the human body, as discovered by Leonardo da Vinci. Even our own body's beauty, structure, is in harmony with fine music. Aston Martin Rapid is a code ratio. Oops, I got an extra letter there. It's not ration, it's ratio. The design proportion of this car. Okay. And the arm. You can see it in the arm. If you want to know how to shape your eyebrows, use the feet for that. So it's the tip of the nose goes to the center of the iris. That's where the high point of the eyebrow is supposed to be. If you look at fine works of art, those eyebrows look like this. Next. And next. And even the hand. And the length of each finger joint is multiplied by 1.618. The length of the next larger section is indicated. So there's a pie hand. The pie in the hand is worth 2 on the body. Next. Seashell in nature. Another feet diagram here. For years I called it phi, and then I realized it's actually phi, so if I keep using phi and phi, please don't be confused. Here it is. Next. Notre Dame. The entrance to the Notre Dame Cathedral. The octave proportion, we find it right in here. Renaissance artists knew it as the divine proportion, is what it was referred to, and there we are in the Jesus scene last supper. Oops, repeat. Okay, next. In the Bible, the Old Testament fits into the large section, and the New Testament fits into the smaller section. So if you divide the number of books in the Bibles, which is 66, divided by 1.618 equals 40.7, the book of Matthew, exactly where the Bible divides the Old Testament with the New Testament. The sum of one golden section box, 33, the age Jesus died. 2 golden spirals added up make 66. The Bible has 66 books. Some say the Bible is the DNA of God in words. And we have a calendar, by the way, on the pianos. And anybody ever notice that in the major scale, we have the week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or the calendar, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and back to January. And then we have 52 cards in the deck, which is 52 white keys. And how many black keys? How many inches in a yardstick? And that's where we have our 36. So it's fun thinking about some of the mathematics and music. Now the planets. Here's a table of the planets and the sounds and the colors and meters. In 1978, Hans Kusto, a Swiss mathematician and musicologist, discovered the law of the cosmic octave. So the synodic day or the synodic moon, this is the lunar moon. And you can see where the frequencies are indicated there. I thought that the moon relative to the Earth and the tone being G sharp was really interesting. And Hartmut-Warm. These are planetary waves, taking the mathematical orbits and how quickly it goes around at different times a day. He created many images, and I'm just putting a few of my favorites here for you. And these two. They almost have a three-dimensional effect when you see these live. And artists that are interested in sacred geometry are using these proportions and mathematical structures to create mandalas and paintings that almost seem to move when you look at them. And some even seem to emit a pitch when you stare at them long enough. You'll hear a high-pitched sound as you look at these. There's the Kepler Stearns for log. That's intervals of velocities related to mercury. SP is the keynote. Just give you an idea what that looks like. Something happened here. Okay. This is the formula for the frequencies of the moon. The synodic month is the lunar month, has a duration 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, 2.8 seconds, and that's a total of 44,527.047 minutes and seconds. And this is the mathematical formula. There's something wrong with the slide. But that's where you come up, that's how you get to the G sharp. And the moon tone being the G sharp. This is the formula that it goes to. If anybody's interested, I can email this to you. There seems to be some adult image on. It's fine this morning. Okay. The tone is now called G sharp. In the 16th through the 18th century, it was still an A. But we call it the G sharp now. And around Egypt, and there's the alas, often used by a musical instrument called the sistrum. And it was an instrument commonly used in the ceremonies in ancient Egypt. So, this is my presentation, and I thank you very much for coming to the talk. And if you found the talk interesting, if you'd like to have any questions, we can do that now. You want to turn the lights on? Yeah.
If you were to demonstrate the same with the overtone, would we be able to hear that, or is that something you have to be trained to hear?
No, you can hear. You can hear.
Can you do that?
I was having nightmares about this moment. You might all have me committed if you heard it. My daughter's here. She's heard it many times. I'm not exactly warmed up. I mean, you can hear it a little bit. I'm warmed up, I get a lot. I have a little sign-up sheet if anybody would like to be on like a monthly newsletter.
Maybe I missed this in your speech, but why are orchestras nowadays tuning higher? What's the advantages of, why are they tuning higher?
It's a major disadvantage for the musicians.
So what, then why?
And the singers, because it's just making the mezzo-soprano, the true qualities of mezzo-soprano tone to become extinct. I think the idea is to try to get a brighter sound. They're desperate for audiences to get a brighter sound. You know, that's what they're talking about. Is that it's going to be, but the musicians are having a real hard time with it. I know a French horn player that had one disability for a few months. You know, the CSO guy who blew out his lips. But I mean, it's just the instruments are not. They're being stretched to their limits at this point, and so are the voices. Yeah?
Like with the clarinet and flutes, with the woodwinds, you know, you can make them as small as possible, push everything together, but even if you got a shorter like barrel, then it puts the proportion of the notes that only use part of the instrument and the ones that use the whole instrument, but it throws everything off.
It does.
So it's really impossible to use the same instruments.
It is. And like the difference between a clarinet and say a piano or a voice, the overtone series you saw, let's say there's seven. Let's say for example there's seven. Like let's say the clarinet uses, here's seven. The clarinet uses obviously the fundamental and just say this one and this one. Those are the primary ones you hear. And then the same pitch and other instruments play, and what causes it to sound different is it might be using a different set of the overtones. See? And that combination of the strengths is what gives us a quality of sound. And the voice is really cool because we can change the dimensions in our mouth to make the different vowels of A, E, I, O, U. These are different overtone sets in order to make those different vowels. So a singer can actually change the overtones just by the change in their mouth. But if you have an instrument, you're stuck with it. There was a question.
Yeah, I'm curious about when A used to be 440 or 415. 415. How did they set it at 415? Why did they? Was that arbitrary? How did they happen to decide at that time that it should be 415? How did they know it should be 415?
Well, see, that's what I posed the question, that maybe they were in tune with the music of the spheres, and maybe they understood this G-sharp moon phenomena, but they were tuning there. The Baroque instrument movement claims that this was the pitch that it was all done. And I don't even think they're saying that based on this G-sharp movement that I'm bringing out, bringing up today.
No, that's why I wonder how did they
Well,
arrive at that?
how did Beethoven do the Ninth Symphony? I mean, it's mind-boggling to me, but I think it is an interesting fact. Yes.
Yes, there's a group in California that's trained themselves so that they can sing double stops. And is that because of this phenomenon, right?
They're trained in doing double stops with their voice?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's called the ineluctable modalities. I know some of these people and
Do you?
yeah.
Why do they call it overtone singing?
Oh, they do many other things.
Yeah. I think it's probably very similar.
Yeah.
Women or men?
Men.
Men. See, it's easier for men because,
As in the Tibetan monks.
yeah. Are they doing undertones? They're overtones, because the Tibetan monks, they often do undertones, so they go, and you hear it down below.
Yeah, right.
And it's great for men to they do it because their bass note is lower. See, I'm not bass. I mean, I brought my root pitch as low as I can do it. You know, if I'm warmed up, I can go even lower. But my bass pitch, you have to go up from there. So that's why men can actually produce them easier.
Yeah. Also, do you know what the author that wrote The Messages in Water is doing now? Has he gone further with what he's done?
I don't know.
Because I read that it's about 5 or 6 years old, isn't it?
It's even much older.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been around for a long time.
yeah.
And
I guess I really should pick it up.
I was going to look into it. I mean, I've given talks on this subject that go for 3 days long. And so I'm trying to condense into what I thought might be interesting for the group. But that would be good to find out what he's doing. There's a movie called What the Bleep is going on with, who's that very famous Oscar-winning deaf actress.
Oh, Marley Matlin?
Do you know who I'm thinking of?
Marley Matlin?
Yes, she stars in it. She was inactive as an actress, and then all of a sudden she did a movie, and it's called What the Bleep. And they refer to this Waters thing. They refer to it. Any other questions? Ideas to share? I love thinking about these. I love thinking in
There are a number of
content.
musicians, they're just increasing so fast on the vibrational thing and medicinal and healing things as well. And I know that, I mean, the number that it was just a couple and now the number is just increasing.